Ross Coulthard recently interviewed Cason Best, a former Army Special Forces intelligence officer. Best currently works with Americans for Safe Aerospace, an independent UAP/UFO reporting agency for pilots, where he processes and analyzes incoming UAP reports. In this interview, he first of all gave an account of his own UAP encounter.
Massive, perfectly still elliptical object. If I were to guess, and this is hard to say, 6 miles away, but I would guess maybe 300 feet at least. Elliptical like this. These uniform panels that seem to be all pentagons, but were all irregularly shaped, like a mother of pearl or a white ceramic color. And it was a perfect sunny Colorado bluebird day, 50 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, and you could see these panels move as they kind of glisten in the sun. We were all just transfixed on what we were seeing, trying to perceive it. If I were to guess, at least 30 seconds.
Pretty amazing. A 300-foot wide object was hovering over Cheyenne Mountain for over 30 seconds and then vanished. No photos or videos, as no one was carrying a phone for security reasons, but we do have the slides he prepared. We can put these locations into Google Earth. Best is here, and the UAP, by his estimate, is here. One thing that seems odd is that nobody reported this to the authorities at the time. He made these slides, but was too busy to give them to anyone, or even tell people that there was a massive craft hovering over one of the most sensitive sites in the US. It was a year before he went to Arrow, and then later to the FBI. But that's not even the biggest objection. Look at where they are and where the UFO is. If we draw a circle centered on the UFO and extending out to where they are, we see that it encompasses a huge chunk of Colorado Springs. In fact, that's about 20 to 30,000 people who would have had a good view of this massive object hovering over the mountain. Yet nobody reported it. Nobody took a photo. There's no indication that anyone noticed it, except for the 5 people with no phones. Best then went on to discuss 3 cases that he had analyzed at ASA, Americans for Safe Aerospace. Presumably Ross here had asked him to pick out the best, most compelling cases backed with the best evidence, but this is what we got.
12th of July, that's actually only a few weeks ago, in Hooksett, New Hampshire. 2 civilian witnesses, 2 minutes duration. The objects were 200 feet away. 2 brilliant ruby red contained spheres of light, described as a basketball-sized condensed sun contained within a 1 meter clear sphere.
The problem here is that the video looks just like 2 sky lanterns drifting by. It looks exactly like that. We see the red shape with a fire at the bottom and they're just drifting with the wind. There's no reason from the video to think that it's anything else. Then there's this video of a shimmering object moving slowly across the sky, which is described as
an amorphous, rapidly changing blob of light and energy-emitting colours throughout the visual spectrum, long-duration positive lift, and then travelled approximately 40 miles in 5 seconds.
The problem with that is that this isn't actually a UFO, it's the International Space Station. Like with sky lanterns, most UFO analysis begins with just recognizing things. I recognized the look of this one as being like the ISS, so I investigated. Ross gave the date and the location as Minneapolis, July the 9th, 2025. The exact time was missing, but most ISS sightings are a bit after sunset or a bit before sunrise, so I loaded up SITREC, set the date to July the 9th and the time to 9 p.m. and the camera location to Minneapolis. I then loaded the satellites using the NORAD data and set it to just display the ISS. Moving the time, we could find when the ISS passed close to Minneapolis. The evening didn't work, so I tried early morning. Bingo! I got a match with the ISS going in the right direction and lit by the sun. I then noticed 2 stars in the video. I adjusted the time a bit more, and bingo number 2, the ISS went past those 2 stars at the right speed and in the right direction, thus proving it was the ISS. But what were these energy-emitting colours? Well, that's just what the ISS looks like when it's far enough away. The atmosphere refracts light and we get shimmering colours. Here's a video I took of the ISS showing similar shimmering colours. We can compare the 2. What about the sudden movement? Well, maybe it's just this camera movement. What about the one cop chasing it across the state in his car? Well, Venus was also out that night. If they didn't identify the ISS, then maybe they didn't identify Venus, and we do know that people sometimes chase Venus in their cars. Finally, we get to what is the most common report from pilots. Small lights near the horizon that move slowly, seeming in patterns, and fade in and out. These are Starlink satellites. We know this because at Metabunk, we've looked at many such reports that look and sound identical to these, and it's always Starlink. Pilots will often say otherwise at first, but we've consistently been able to match up individual satellites, and they generally accept it when shown the evidence. Ross showed us this video and says it's Oklahoma City and facing northwest. If we had the date, time, and flight number, we could identify the actual satellite, but we don't have that here. But, for example, in mid-April 2025, between 10:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. local time, there would have been lots of Starlink sightings northwest of Oklahoma City. Sightings which would have moved at the same speed as the object seen in best video, in the same direction, and the same amount above the horizon. So it's a perfect fit for Starlink. So here we've got 4 cases. We've got amazing eyewitness descriptions, and then supposedly the video of that thing. There's
a basketball-sized condensed sun contained within a 1 meter clear sphere,
which in the video looks just like some sky lanterns. There's
an amorphous, rapidly changing blob of light and energy-emitting colors,
where we've proven the video shows the ISS, the International Space Station. And then there's
see it here fading in the rapid racetrack pattern,
where we've shown the videos are entirely consistent with Starlink horizon flares. Finally, we've got this.
It was a massive, perfectly still elliptical object,
but no video. And those nagging problems of why it was never reported, and why none of the 40,000 other people nearby saw it. But we've got a pattern. Incredible stories from eyewitness, but where there's actual data, like videos and date times and locations, it's not incredible at all. Why then should we expect the case that has 0 additional data to be any better? Consider that Best didn't realize that the other 3 cases had straightforward explanations. He didn't recognize a sky lantern. He didn't recognize the ISS. He didn't recognize Starlink satellites. It's an amazing story, and they probably saw something, but was it a 300-foot long, shape-shifting, faceted craft hovering over Cheyenne Mountain that nobody noticed? Probably not.